All right, guys, it looks like we have another massive update this week. Hopefully, this is just the tail end of HighLevel's Level Up Summit and that we'll get a little bit of a break in the weeks coming. But honestly, I don't think so, because I think that a lot of these features that they've rolled out, a lot of these new updates that they've rolled out, they have very obvious next steps that I imagine that they're going to be rolling right into. So we might see this pace for a while. So I'm going to try and fly through these updates. If you want more information on any of these updates, be sure to join the HL4 community. We'll make sure we leave that link in the notes if you're watching this on YouTube. Otherwise, if you're watching this on Loom, it's because we are emailing it to you and or you're already in the community. So be sure to join HL4. Be sure to comment on any features you want to see more of, like an elaboration, more of a demonstration on. We did so this weekend with the AI workflow builder, which we'll jump into. And so, yeah, be sure to do that, because I can only cover so much in this without just completely losing everybody, because last weekly breakdown was 30 minutes long, and this one has just as many, if not more, updates. Luckily, these are concentrated a little bit in a handful of features, like a handful of like parent categories that'll make it a little bit easier for us to stay on these. But like stay, a little bit easier to kind of group these and kind of stay on track with a decent timeline. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right in. First update that I have for you guys is a new smart list view. Now, one of the things right away, whether or not you like the initial like change of these grid lines and having the columns a little bit more, I don't know, demarked, whatever you want to use, like whatever word you want to use to say, like they're just more kind of in your face, more obviously organized. Whether or not you like those, what we really like about this is that now you have the ability to customize the all contacts view. Whereas before, in order to be able to create your own custom columns, you had to do so in a smart list, which means anytime you navigated to contacts and you were at all contacts, you had to click into a smart list. Even if that smart list had no like filters, no actual filters, you had to click into that smart list to be able to see the view that you wanted to see. Whereas now you can customize this any way that you'd want to, including, which was not possible before, including the order of the columns within the smart list. So I can come over here to manage fields. I can now, within my all view, I can add as many of these different fields as I want to, and I can change the order all the way up to contact name. So contact name stays pinned on the left-hand side. Everything else is 100% subject to like what order you want to put this in. And so this is a huge update for those of you guys that were frustrated with how HighLevel didn't allow you to, I'm going to discard that one. How they didn't allow you to change the order of the columns, or if they didn't you didn't like the fact that you couldn't change what columns showed on the all contacts view. This is now changed. Smart lists are a little bit easier to create as well. So if I come into here, I'll go into like active producers here. We can go and click, oops, shoot. Let's go back here, hold on. Last time we had some issues with YouTube because it's against a harassment policy apparently, to have people's like information on here. So even if it's for like a brief moment, they'll pull our video. So I got to try and stay away from that. You'll see that the like privacy feature inside of HighLevel doesn't work with the new smart list. So just something to be aware of. But as far as creating a smart list, creating smart lists are easier if you go into the actual smart list itself. Let me see here. You know what I'll do? I'll go manage fields. I'll create this as a smart list. Maybe it'll let me do that if I click out of here and maybe add one more, like a contact status or something, right? I'll click apply, save. I can save as a new smart list. I'll call this demo smart list. Okay, so I just created that as a new smart list. You'll notice that the interface for interacting with the smart list is very different than it was. So when you create it, same thing, by default, it's going to be visible to only you. In order to share this smart list with others, you can either share with all users or you can share with specific users. You can edit their, whether or not they can edit it or just view it. That's the same. Duplicating that smart list just got easier and more straightforward. So boom, I click duplicate and now it pulls me directly into one where I can rename it right there. And then again, go back and manage those settings. Same thing coming into here, being able to change what you're sorted by. It looks like you can potentially, Okay, yep, change. You can sort by many different fields in here, and again, reorder these fields as well. I'll discard that changes, and you can delete the list from here as well instead of having to go into Manage Smart List to do that. So, couple cool new updates to the Smart List functionality. Definitely check this out. If you're an EmpowerLO client, this should be live in all of your guys' accounts already. All right. The next update that we have is an update to Dialer, and specifically what is now what we now have access to is a voicemail section, which is something that just recently I started to hear more and more complaints about, which is that when you get a voicemail, you have no spot to just go and review all of your voicemails. Like the voicemail gets attached to the conversation and then it just shows up as an unread message. You have no indication unless you set up an automation that notifies you when a voicemail is left. And then even then you don't have like a voicemail inbox. Well, now you do have that voicemail inbox. I'm inside of one of my clients' accounts. For me, I'm not a user in here, so I have no voicemails, but if I go into there, I can see if I'm an admin in the account, I can see all the voicemails all in one spot, which is a huge improvement from what we saw before. All right, next up is an update that allows you to rename the standard objects inside of HighLevel. Now, I don't know necessarily where somebody would want to do this. The only thing that I thought of is potentially renaming companies to referral partners. I think that could simplify administration of like the referral partner relationship. But to be honest with you, what I'm coming to understand and kind of respect inside of HighLevel is that the referral partner relationship really should just be a contact to contact relationship. And so I don't know exactly why you would use this. I think it's pretty cool being able to come in here, like if you limited your opportunities to only loans, right? Instead of wanting to categorize leads, loans, agents, etc., then you could come in here and you could rename the object. You could rename the singular. You could rename the plural as well. So I think it's cool. I think it's cool that they give us that flexibility. I don't know exactly where you're going to use it, but I figured I'd update you anyways. All right, next up, calendar reminders. Calendar reminders, both SMS and email. SMS and also WhatsApp just got a lot easier. So I know we've got some clients that are out in Puerto Rico. WhatsApp is very big, and that's what they predominantly use in their account. So I want to shout out that as well. But really, inside of your calendar notification settings, you only really had the email and in-app capabilities for reminders, for status confirmations, for rescheduling, etc., which made it so that you always had to have a separate workflow if you wanted to send text message reminders. Well, now you can manage this directly inside of the settings for calendars, which just saves you from having to create an extra workflow for every calendar that you operate with. So this is really cool. They're unique to each calendar that you create. So being able to come in here and say, hey, I want to send a reminder. Now, where you still would want to use a workflow is that this is only going to allow you to send one confirmation text message and one reminder text message. So it's not a sequence. It's not like you can't program it to say, hey, 3 hours before send this message, 1 hour before send this message. It's one reminder. If I come in here, I can say, oh, wow, I'm a liar. I did not see that add more before. So this is huge. It does look like you can only have the text message, like you can only customize the text message one time, which still, again, depending on your use case for this, you might want to be able to have more flexibility than that. And you would still use a workflow for that flexibility. But if that doesn't matter to you, if you just want to send a reminder like super standard like this, then you could do that, and you could say, hey, I want to send this a day before, I want to send this 10 minutes before, etc. So all of that without creating a workflow, that's really cool. And then again, they added WhatsApp as well, which we don't have any experience with personally, like with our business, but we have clients that do. And so I think this will be a welcome update for those guys. All right, so the next updates that I have are related to conversation AI, which is the text bot, right? You have voice bot, you have text bot. Conversation AI is the text bot. Voice AI is the voice bot. So related to chat bots, essentially, there are a couple updates here. Specifically, you have the ability within the standard. There's basically two major updates here. Okay, one of them is only available with the standard bot builder, and then they have a new advanced builder that, oddly enough, doesn't have all of the same functionality of the standard bot builder. And so the advanced builder, I'll demo that in a second, just take a quick, just show you really quickly like where they're going with this. But what's cool about the standard bots, which our clients use already, the standard bots now have the ability to respond to images, and they have the ability to respond to voice memos as well. So if you're engaging with somebody, I know voice memos are getting more and more popular, that bot will actually listen to the voice memo and respond via text accordingly. Same thing with images. If somebody sends a picture of, whatever it is they're sending a picture of, it's their Credit Karma credit score or whatever, right? We have that sometimes. Hey, do you have an idea of what your credit score is? And instead of telling the number, they just send a screenshot of their Credit Karma. Okay. Well, the bot before couldn't interpret that. The bot now can, which is really cool. Again, this is only possible in the standard bot builder right now. I'll show you the difference and setup between those if you have the new flow builder enabled inside of Labs. You can come in here, and when you create one, you have these two are like the normal setups, and then this is the new setup. And now this is free until December 31st, which makes it kind of enticing. And you do have a little bit more control over stuff. So if I go into here, this is the flow builder demo. What I don't have for some reason is this flow. If I build a bot with a flow builder, it can't interpret images, it can't interpret voice. And so I'm sure that has something to do with why they're like subsidizing the cost of it right now, is because they want people to try it out, they want people to break it, and they want people to forgive them for not having all of the shit that the standard bot builder can do. So with that, what's cool about this though is that currently, the way that we have bots configured with the standard builder is we have separate bots for purchase and refi in here. Okay. That's an example. That's just one example. We would have another one for like home equity. Now that is no longer needed at the point that this is dialed in and you have and it has all of the features that the standard bot builder has as far as voice interpretation, image interpretation. I wouldn't switch to this until they do give us the thumbs up on that, because I think those features are powerful and necessary. Another thing that's still not possible is responding to emails with the bot, which is frustrating and annoying. And I would love for them to fix that before they move on to all this other crazy shit. But that's high level. What can you do? So coming into here, you have the ability to define each individual step. So the standard bot builder, if we go into one of these, like the appointment booking bot, which is specifically for purchase in this case, and you go to bot goals, this is the interface for that, which means we have specific questions that we want them to confirm. We have to number these questions and put them in a particular order and hope that the bot adheres to that, which a lot of the times the bot doesn't, because ultimately what's happening is we're sending all of this information on every single call to the bot. So the bot has to interpret where it's at in the process and where it needs to pick up without very linear instructions. Whereas in here, what's happening now is that each one of these represents a different call to the bot. And so if I come in here, I can specify, I want you to ask, is the lead looking to purchase or are they looking to refinance? And then based on that, go down this path or go down this path, instead of having to explain that all within one written prompt section, which really can become problematic. Our bots work very well. Our clients love our bots. But it's kind of one of those situations where like you take the bad with the good. Like there's a lot of benefits to it, which is why a lot of our clients are willing to put up with some of the frustrations to it. And so this is just helping to alleviate some of those frustrations, where this flow builder will allow you to have a lot more granular control over what the bot asks and when, how it responds to those specific questions, etc., and really limit the prompting that you're doing to what is necessary for that individual step. So definitely a welcome change that's coming. You'll notice this looks just like a workflow. I was really surprised and pleasantly surprised with that. It looks like the standard workflow builder, which is again nice and familiar, but we'll see. Again, it's very, very early beta for sure. We'll see how this kind of gets built out over time. Now, before I move on from this, there's one more thing that this bot can do that they added to the functionality of the standard bot builder, which is that it now has the ability to book on multiple calendars. Again, you're relying on AI prompting to do this. So like if I were to come in here and select a couple different bots, I have this particular ranch team booking calendar working at Northeast Financial. If I were to do that, I would come in here, and this is my interface for being able to define which bot or like which calendar the bot routes them to. And so that might work for some use cases. I would like to see a little bit more control as far as being able to say, hey, if this field equals this, then use this bot. If this field equals this, then use this bot, which when you get into the flow builder, you can, because you get the ability to create this if else logic. I'm sorry, I said bot. If this field equals this, use this appointment calendar. If this field uses this, then use this appointment calendar. That's the level of control I would like to see, which in the flow builder is going to be possible or is possible. But, you know, in here, you just kind of have the ability to like describe and hope that the AI interprets your instructions correctly, which we all know how that can go. So something else to look at here before we moved on from the bots is that you now can book on multiple calendars as opposed to a single calendar with your booking bots. All right, speaking of AI, speaking of bots, now live in labs and live for all Empower clients is outbound voice AI calling. Guys, I'm nervous about this as an agency owner. I'm nervous about this as a marketer. I'm nervous about this. I'm nervous about the abuse of the potential abuse of this, not necessarily with our clients, but elsewhere. It just seems like something that's going to be really exciting for a little bit and then potentially be regulated like hell very, very soon. So we'll see how that goes. As of right now, it's available though. They give you a little bit of guidance on the type of disclosure language that you want to use, or consent language that you want to use. So definitely adhere to this. They make it very clear they're not attorneys. Consult your attorney. And you know, same thing here. Like, I don't think it's regulated at this point, right? I don't think that that it's been around long enough for it to be regulated. However, there's definitely going to be plenty of mortgage companies that want nothing to do with this. So if you are at a company and not your own brokerage, definitely make sure you're checking with your compliance department on this. But essentially what they did is they made it so that the voice AI, you can now set up a voice AI outbound call as an action inside of your workflow builder. There's a couple steps that you have to implement before then. Number one, this has to be enabled in labs. Number two, when you go to voice AI, let me see. When you go to your AI agents list and you go to voice AI, you have to click this enable outbound calls. Okay. And then you have to agree. If you haven't done an identity verification since they enabled the identity verification requirements, you for sure will have to do it then. So don't be surprised by that. And then only at that point do you have the ability to select this as an action. Whereas right now, you can see it's not going to let me do that. So with that said, really cool. Definitely check that out. But now that we're in here, we're going to jump into workflows, which is where a lot of the updates that we have this week are. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. Okay, first things first, we have a couple of new triggers. I'm going to show one of the big updates here, just like the conversation AI flow builders, that we have a new advanced builder, and that's where I'm going to spend a lot of time and attention on this. As much as I can, because again, we're already at 18 minutes here. So that's where I want to spend more time and attention on. But before we do that, I want to show you a couple new triggers in the interface that you're familiar with. So number one, call transcript generated. So inside of your call settings, when you go into your phone numbers, you have the ability with voice to turn on call transcription. Okay. So this will generate transcription. You have to have call recording turned on in order for the transcription to work. So it's going to default to your call recording settings. If you have call recording turned off, it will not create a transcription, which should help you with any compliance. You know, if you're in a two-party consent state, then you either have call recording turned off or you have a disclaimer message at the beginning of the call that says, hey, this call will be recorded for quality purposes. If you have that, you can turn this on and know that this is going to generate a transcript. That transcript shows up in the same box as your calls. So I should have had an example of this. I don't, and I'm sorry. But basically, if inside your conversation log, if you go to the call, the transcript will show up right below it, like attached to that same call action. You now have the ability to generate to be able to trigger a workflow off of that transcript being generated. So why would you want to do this? Well, we have a cool partnership with HighLevel, which is an awesome tool, and I definitely recommend it, especially for those of you that don't like working like these like crazy workarounds and all this logic and all that stuff. HighLevel does this way better than what I would be able to do with a workflow. But if you just wanted a really simple ability to generate action items coming out of your calls, or email you call summaries coming out of calls, whatever it is, you can trigger a workflow off of a transcript being generated. You can actually go and use that chat GPT, right? So if I go to chat GPT, there's GPT, and I can send this and say, all right, take my transcript generated. Okay, I'm sending the transcript, and add a prompt here, right? I can add a prompt. Here's a transcript from my call. Generate a summary with relevant action items. Again, HighLevel, if you're using HighLevel, you know HighLevel does so much more than this, and I definitely would recommend checking those guys out. But if you just wanted something simple, this would give you, this would allow you to generate a summary. Then you could say, all right, send an internal notification, an email, and say you want to send it to yourself here. To user, assigned user, right? Call transcript or call summary for call with contact full name, right? And then you could go like this, and you could say, you just completed a call, or, your call with contact name has been summarized, whatever. And then you basically could come in. I'm taking too long on this, so I'm going to jump through this. But then I could go over here and I could grab that GPT action, take that response, that output, and say, here's your summary, basically. Boom, save that. And now I've got like essentially Fathom operating on my phone calls. So really cool feature in my opinion. You also could take that transcript, and let's say you have salespeople making calls out of here. You could take that transcript, send it to GPT and say, hey, evaluate this transcript based on this criteria. Did they ask this question? Did they try and get the application on the phone? Did they discourage the compliance related questions, sales coaching related questions, all of that stuff you could do with this now that you have the ability to generate off of transcripts. Now, new triggers as well, more native apps being added to HighLevel workflows. So I think we've talked about Airtable, we've talked about ClickUp, Google Contacts, and Notion. Typeform and Basecamp are new. So I don't know how far they're going to go with this. I'm pretty excited to see where they go with this. We don't use any of these except for ClickUp, not even Google Contacts really. So I don't know if this pertains to you guys, but if you do use either of these tools, they now have some native functionality in here. So when it comes to triggers, you're going to have some stuff. And then also when you go to actions, you'll have some stuff in here as well. Typeform, create an empty form, duplicate an existing form, search for responses in a form. And then Basecamp, you have a bunch of stuff in here as well, which I know to be like a pretty simple task management platform. Okay, so the next feature that I want to show you guys in here, I actually didn't have turned on. I had to go and turn it on under workflow settings, which you guys can do. But basically, you now have the ability to turn on autosave for workflows. This is a massive, massive lift. We just had an intern get super frustrated after spending an hour, mapping out a super complex lending pad integration, and then it erroring out and not saving his work. Super, super frustrating. And I know a lot of us have experienced the same thing. So this is really cool. Autosave is now a thing. And also a thing is the ability to come in here and undo and redo steps that are subject to that autosave. So you can, and then you can go in as well. You can go to version history and you can restore off of version history as well. So you can either like save version. Okay, it saves what version number it is. This is cool. This is going to help you keep track more of like what, how many different times you've edited this workflow. But you can come back and you can restore off of any of these also. So Couple really cool features in here. I'm not sure why it's in view only mode. Oh, because I restored off of the previous version, right? So now I can go here. I can exit out of this, and now I'm on that version here. So being able to restore from previous versions, being able to undo, redo, and auto save, all of that stuff is brand new and a huge lift for those of us that like to build workflows. Okay, speaking of those of us that like to build workflows, there are a lot of really powerful new features related to the new advanced workflow builder. So inside of workflows, we're in here, you'll see that there's this drop down that didn't exist before. If you flip it to advanced builder, you can switch back and forth between standard builders and advanced builders. But the advanced builder unlocks a lot of capabilities in here. And so it looks different, as you can tell. Other than it looking different, there are a lot of major updates in here. For example, being able to add multiple triggers and then having triggers link to actions further down in the workflow. So rather than having to break up your workflow into multiple workflows, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, because you want to be able to jump in and, kind of have like a modular experience and jump in at step 3 instead of, just everybody starting at step 1 and having to go through all of those steps, you now have the ability to add triggers in here. This is what I did. I added a tag added trigger, and when I add it, by default, it's not connected to anything. So now I can take this and I can connect it all the way over to here. And now I just skipped all of these steps for a very specific trigger. So I can configure a specific trigger, take advantage of what's going on in the workflow without duplicating the workflow and creating a workflow for just this edge case where we want to be able to jump in at that point in the process. So that's one of the major updates here. If we go back, we have the ability to delink nodes. So this is essentially, if I wanted to, I could create a completely separate workflow in here. So when a tag is added, I wanted to enable D&D and enable it for all channels, right? Okay, so I could, in theory, keep this as it's essentially a separate workflow, but it's on the same canvas. And so now, instead of having to group workflows based off of the chain of events that's taking place, it's going to, this is a paradigm shift essentially for a lot of us, including myself, where now you can start to group workflows based on what it's doing for your business, or the function within your business. And so now, for example, this D&D one, we have 2 different D&D workflows for email triggers, and one for email triggers and one for SMS triggers. And now we can come in here and we can just create those 2 different workflows on the same canvas, call that D&D, and boom, we're good there, right? Just really simplifies administration. There's also improvements to the workflow comments functionality, sticky notes. So whereas before sticky notes, were just something that you could drag. And here, I'll show you if I like the sticky notes. I've loved the sticky notes. We use it all the time as a way to help kind of notate what we're thinking. But if you try and move it over an action, what does it do? It covers the action. So what do? You put the sticky note directly next to the action that you want to notate, or maybe you want to use a comment instead, and that's what you're doing there. But one of the things that we've seen people do already with this that's really cool, in fact, I did this inside of the demo that I did this weekend of the AI builder, again, look in HL4 for that, is the ability to come in here, come behind actions, and use this to say, to mark this for review later, or to explain exactly what's going on in this, color code. So instead of just having a comment here, I'm able to color code different sticky notes and know that if it's red, then that means that this is something that needs to be replaced. If this is green, then this is something that I want to be able to reference later, whatever that is. So lots and lots of really cool stuff in here. You now have a stats view for each workflow that allows you to kind of break down here we go. Stats view allows you to see at each level how many had gone through that. You can come in here. Another new thing is the ability to come in here and pause steps within the workflow. This is insane. This is if you're testing out a workflow and you want to be able to test how the workflow functions without actually sending any messages out, you now could go in and just pause all of the communication related ones and see the lead go through the actual flow without sending out any communications. Guys, so much cool stuff in here. I'm sure I'm going to be creating more and more content on just the workflow builder because of what this unlocks. I know like Zapier should be dead to most of you guys, other than using it to get my Arrive information or my landing pad information into HighLevel. There should be no reason that I need to use Zapier for anything. Really, really exciting stuff. And yeah, let me know if you guys have anything in particular that you want to see us build. I want to see us go over anything like that. There's so much to look at in here, and we're really excited to see what you guys come up with and what we come up with and share it with you. All right, I almost forgot the workflow switcher. This is another like fan favorite of these new updates, is the ability to toggle in between other workflows directly from inside of my workflow here. So this is, I don't know how it handles. Okay, that's autosave. So if I go and yeah, so basically it just allows you to access all your other workflows, and it'll open those workflows in a new tab. So instead of having to close out of your workflow, go back, whatever, a lot of the times the workflows are interrelated in some ways, and you want to be able to pull those up side by side. And it's frustrating to have to duplicate this tab, not know what it's going to do as far as saving the workflow, back out, go back in. So that's another update I wanted to make sure I shared with you guys. All right, guys, the next updates, the last updates that I have for you guys are all related to the mobile app. If you guys aren't using the mobile app, if you guys have had issues with the mobile app, I highly, highly encourage you guys to check this one out. This is the smoothest mobile app update I've seen them make, and crazy, crazy new features involved. I demoed last week the Ask AI feature. This was actually on my personal Facebook page that I did. Feel free to add me there. But the Ask AI feature, which allows us to go in, allows us to interact with what's going on inside of our account, say, hey, it does take a while, mind you. It does seem like it still like has some kinks to work out. But one of the things I did was like, hey, how many opportunities are in my sales pipeline that haven't been reached out to in over 30 days? And then I sent this. And rather than sit here, because it does take a little bit, and you can look and make sure that it's doing all the things that it needs to. We've got a major internet or major like outage. Cannot fit reading ID. Yeah, so we have a major AWS outage while I'm recording this, and so it might not be working as expected. But neither is half the internet. So, but it was able to spit out, tell me exactly which opportunities those were, and it even asked me, do you want me to reach out, like nudge those, or create a follow-up task? Lots of cool stuff coming down the pipeline with this Ask AI feature. But this whole new app, this whole apps feature is new. The ability to come in here, I can't wait for the ability for us to customize this a little bit, take out some of the stuff that's not relevant to loan officers, like estimates, invoices, etc. But some of the stuff that is in here that you will use, reputation management, social planner. The social planner on mobile got so much better. Media storage, so being able to upload stuff directly from your phone into your HighLevel account for use later, that stuff has gotten easier. Calendars, the calendar functionality in here has gotten much, much better. So if I come in here, I can pin 4 apps, which obviously I have 4 apps pinned, but then I also can open up my apps at any point. Dashboards got way better, being able to see marketing and look at your different email campaigns that you have and what the results of those were, being able to see at the sub account level how many contacts, how many emails have gone out, how many form submissions, all of that stuff is in here. Now you can't really customize any of this. This doesn't actually pull from your dashboard. So this is a specific non-customizable dashboard that lives inside your mobile app. So don't be scared if you don't see your dashboards. That is definitely intentional. Manual actions, being able to execute dialing sessions from inside of here. That's new. That's really cool. I said earlier, social planner has gotten a lot better. Calendar, being able to grab links to calendars that you want to share. So I'm in calendar right now. I'm in my list view to just be able to look at the different appointments that we have. But then I can also, that is my calendar. No, I want to go to calendar here. Oh, share. That's what I was looking for. Sorry. Share. And I can come in here and I can grab any calendar. Not only can I grab a scheduling link, but I can also grab a one-time link, which is something that we use often. Not something that was able to be used on mobile. You'd actually have to go into the desktop app to grab that one-time link. Now it's directly in here, just a couple clicks away. So definitely make sure you're updated to the latest lead connector version. I was told that HighLevel lagged a little bit on the updates, the HighLevel version of the app versus lead connector. That's the first time we've heard that in a long time, but that is why we encouraged our team and our clients to use the lead connector app in the first place, is because that was the case a long time ago. We just hadn't heard that in a while. So if you don't see these updates and your app is up to date, if you have the HighLevel version, download lead connector, you'll see them. They're super powerful. One of the powerful new features of this is the ability to take incoming calls from multiple locations. So if you have an ISA or an LOA that works across multiple LOs in different sub accounts, they now have the ability to configure the phone app to accept calls from all of those different sub accounts without having to be on screen for each one. So that was an issue before. We have clients where that's the case, and they could only receive incoming calls on one of their sub accounts at a time. That is no longer the case. That's huge. Being able to set up reoccurring appointments in calendars from here. So if I want to create an appointment, schedule an appointment, and let's say I want to create it for that, I can now come in here and I can create a reoccurring nature to this. Right, there's no slots available. Calendar for schedule page. What are we gonna do? Brokerage team. There's a slot, and then custom here. There we go. Under custom, that's where a reoccurring event is possible. So being able to do that inside of the mobile app is new. Local presence dialing. So if you have that turned on in your settings, inside of your sub-account settings, that means that it'll find the closest area code that you have to where you're calling and call from that number, regardless of what user is calling. I don't have any clients that are using that function, but it's there. Now it works inside the mobile app as well. Lastly, the business card scanner got a lot better. The business card scanner has been a cool and kind of tantalizing feature, but it's really been just a starting point and doesn't extract all the information and puts them into weird fields sometimes. So now that's powered by AI. That is, where is that? Sales and opportunities here. Where's that? Conversations. I'm not sure. Maybe it's on the home. Quick actions. There it is. Scan business card. So give that a shot. Guys, I've spent way too much time on this already. Hopefully you watched all the way to the end. If not, hopefully you're coming back and watching it. And either way, guys, thank you so much for spending some time with me. Crazy updates. Be sure to join HL4 if this is valuable to you, because we are diving way deeper in there. But until then, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you at the top.